So this is Unit 7.5, Lesson 8, Practice Problems. So we want to determine the value of the variable that makes each equation true. To review, a negative times a negative is a positive. We know a positive times a positive is a positive. We know a positive times a negative is a negative, and a negative times a positive is a negative. So 3 times negative 4 equals negative 12. Something times negative 3 equals negative 12, so that would be positive 4. Negative 12 times something equals positive 12, which would give me negative 1. And something times 24 equals negative 12. Let's say you didn't know how to do this one in your head. Remember inverse operations. I could divide each side by 24. This would cancel out, so D would be equal to negative 1/2 once I've simplified it. The next one, determine the values of each expression. So negative 15 and negative 12, I would divide them both by 3, which would give me 5/4, which would give me negative 1.25. So if it was switched around, the same thing. Positive divided by a negative is negative 1.25. A negative divided by a negative would be a positive 1.25. And when the negative is on the outside, think of it like this. So I'm going to do this first and then put the negative outside, so negative 1.25. So determine the value of x that makes each equation true. So I'm going to do the inverse of multiplication, which is division. Divide both sides by negative 3. So x is going to equal negative 2.1. Since this is division, the inverse of division is multiplication. I'd multiply each side by 3. X is equal to negative 36. I'm going to divide both sides by 1.2, negative 1.2. So let's see, 30 divided by, let's make that 12 and add a 0. 12 goes into a 30 twice, which is 24. This will leave me 60, so it will give me 25. X is equal to 25 positive. And the next one would be multiply each side by negative 1.2. And that would give me 3.36 positive. Now, a machine that drills holes for wells drilled to a depth of negative 72 feet in 1 day is 24 hours. How much did the depth change each hour? So, we'd have to do the 24 hours we'd do the negative 72 feet divided by 24 hours. So we know this is going to be negative. So if I did 72 divided by 24, I would get negative 3. So it would go down 3 feet per hour. If a machine drilled at a constant rate, what was the depth after 15 hours? So it would be 15 times negative 3, which would be negative 45 feet. And at this rate, how many hours would it take me to reach its final depth of negative 132 feet? Explain your reasoning. So I'm going to take negative 132, and I am going to divide it by negative 3. So negative 3 goes into 13 4 times. 44. And I know a negative divided by a negative is a positive. It would take 44 hours because it will take, we can use the equation -3 times something equals -132. So -3 times the amount of hours gives me a -132 feet. So, last couple. 30 plus -30 equals 0. Write a different equation with two numbers whose sum equals 0. This could be anything. So you could have 44 plus -44. Anything added to its opposite will be 0. Write an equation with three numbers whose sum equals to 0. You could do -5 plus 2 plus 3. Again, there's an infinite amount of answers here. Write an equation with four numbers whose sum equals 0, none of which are opposites. One example of opposites is -30 and +30. So we could do something like 4 minus 3 is 1. Then I could add -2, which would give me -1. And then I could add a 1, which would give me 0. So, get it. Just come up with something that works. Now, write an equation using four numbers that multiply to 0, and none of which are opposite. So, you could do anything. I could do 1 times -2 times -500. As long as I multiply the last one or something by 0, your answer will be 0. All right, have a good day, and we can go over this tomorrow in class. Thank you.